I'm going to go, if you stand next to me, go to my rules house, and go, yeah, I'm there. Everyone keep their husbands 3 years. Huh? Keep their, who the fuck are you to take my money? And we'll stand there till we fucking prove something. Broadcasting it and sending it with Carol and fucking Rita. I ain't gonna give you shit, I promise you, Andrew. Alright? Prove me wrong. And shut me up that way. Huh?
You know, part of recording this is to get stuff off my chest. Sometimes audio isn't enough and you kind of need to make a video about how you feel. No, actually not about how I feel, just some things that I want to talk about. I think that's what it amounts to. I made Carol a audio message to send to my dad, and hopefully it'll be received well. My dad seems to be better now, more understanding, more forgiving, you know. So what basically happened is when I came back from Europe, I was expecting to have a discussion with my dad about all the issues with our family. My brother being in jail, me lashing out at him physically, because all this stuff to me was unacceptable. And it started in Europe by me sending Dad a message, a text message about, you know, the fact that Eddie's his responsibility and he can't keep palming that responsibility onto other people. Because now he was palming that responsibility onto Amtirada. Before it was Amizuzu. Before that it was Halim, Gibron, Ibn Kholti Jomfief, and oh god, I forgot his name. Ibn Kholti Najibe, Kholi Halim, you know, my mum, Nasif, right? Was helping Eddie get, you know, rendering contracts and stuff like years and years and years and years ago. And my dad never did as much as most men around him did, you know. And when my brother had to go to Qatar to sort of, you know, straighten up, my dad, I suppose, found that it is quite complex and hard dealing with someone that was a lot like my dad at his age, you know, a lot of issues with narcotics, both in business and in health, let's just say, mental health. Yeah, and it was things that were going to be uncomfortable for him to hear, like the prostitute that he was fornicating with in our house in Yaguna, and how that was something that I took with me since I was 4 years old. You know, that confused me because my parents were supposed to have a holy sacramental union, you know, and here's my dad inviting sick women, you know, that had a lot of mental issues that needed his medicine, let's just say, both physically and chemically. Yeah, really, really uncomfortable kind of stuff that I'm sure was tough for him to hear. Yeah, so he wouldn't answer any of my calls, and that just drove me mad. And so I lashed out at him, and by me lashing it out at him, it sort of brought up other issues that I was having with other members of my family, my Uncle Charlie, my Uncle Zuzu. And then while all this mental breakdown was happening, my cousin Majid convinced builders to pay him $100,000 because he was developing, you know, a pretty substantial drug addiction, and he was really, really desperate because I owed him $40,000 for the work that he did, but I suppose he thought that I also owe him for like the other debt that he had. Perhaps he thought it was my fault. And given the way that my family reacted to me saying what I said about them, yeah, they're not the type of people to take responsibility for their own mess. They sort of project out at whatever easy victim or easy scapegoat there is, and I made myself a really, really, really easy scapegoat, you know, for people just to hurl their issues out at me. So I'd assumed that Majid was happy that I gave him an opportunity to rip me off, and he thought that it wouldn't come back and bite him. But the way that I saw it was that when I really, really, really needed him to help me with all these emotional issues that I was having with my family, he kind of was sickened by me and wanted to screw me off and take my money, or take money that he thought was his, more than me for some reason. But again, not realizing that it was neither of our money. You know, it was Jiddi's money, it was the concreters, it was the concrete pump, you know, it was my managing, you know, it was Zulzul, right, helping you manage the contract. It was for a lot of other people, Majid, not just you. And the fact that you thought it was just for you and you spent it and then squandered it the way that you did is disgusting. I don't know how you sleep at night. I don't get it. And obviously, all this stuff was what was on my mind. It wasn't really on the investments anymore, because this was way more important, because it was sending me crazy. And so Saeed walks away from all the properties that I had acquired over the last year, and he walks away with the deposit. He walks away leaving the deposit with the real estate agents, basically kneecapping ourselves, kneecapping Happy Lion's ability to repay the investments, because now we weren't going to build anymore. You know what I mean? So how are we going to repay the banks? You can't. They have to sell Redfern and probably also either 17A or 17B Beverly Street to cover the massive debt. $1.1 million went to 64 Lethbridge Street or 66 Lethbridge Street. 100,000 went to 60 the adjoining property. Over $100,000 would have went for the DA for that property. $300,000 went to paying the contractors from TQM. Out of that 300,000, Majid got over 200,000. $40,000 for a truck. Ami's also got 100,000, and then an extra 50 or so thousand to renovate his backyard and to finish the inside of his house. Amti Nawal took about 80,000. Amti Rada about 20. Ami Maroon about 50 or 60,000. My dad for the DA for 15 Otto Street about 20,000, maybe 15. I took about 120 or so, maybe. The bank took $500,000, you know, so that's just off the top of my head. I'm sure there's so much more. The CDC for 310 Blacksland, that was about 50 or 60,000. Yeah, a lot of money was taken, you know. But yeah, I suppose Saeed didn't really understand the investments or what an investment was, or you know why it was important to hold on to property and to sell it at a higher rate than you acquired it to repay the debt that you have on it. You know, it's pretty basic. And my dad wants assurance that I won't interfere with him trying to rent out 15 Otto Street. And that was what the message that I sent to Carol was about. It was about why, look, if you'll give Emily $50,000, $50,000, like, okay, I'll let him do whatever, but because my name is on the property and because I don't trust my father in terms of business or ethics, I'm concerned what he's thinking of doing with the property and with who. Because if he is going to rent out with Saeed, you know, assisting him, because he needs someone to assist. If it's Saeed or Majid, I will take that as a personal insult, and I will, well, it's Emily's money. I don't really care. You can give Emily the money. But I won't send the email, and I won't let him rent if he's gonna rent with Saeed and Majid, the people that ripped me off and him off. That's just absurd. I think it'd be a better idea if I help him rent it out, or As'ad, or me and As'ad renovate 15 Otto Street on the super cheap. Take out the carpet, sand back and polish the floors free, right? How much do we need to do that? I can tile the splashback for the kitchen. I can tile the bathroom as well. Yeah, and if there's any rendering to do, internal or external, like for example the laundry, uh, maybe rendering around the laundry, rendering around the house. You know, I'm sure that'd be something good for us to do like for free, right? To get him like into the swing of things, and we just have to pay for the material, which I could do a costing for that. That makes business sense. If he thinks that he's going to go back to Saeed and Majid to help him, and not even give me or his son that's suffering an opportunity to redeem themselves, shows the kind of person that he actually is. And I don't trust him to make the decision.
Every little thing you I promise you, I give you my fucking word.
And given the fact that the
You're looking ridiculous. You're causing attention.
finance company is willing
It's not
to
effective at all.
allow me to repay the debt,
Prove me wrong.
and which will mean that we won't be forced to sell the car, the finance company for the Ford Ranger that Majid's driving and Ami Maroon's driving, and they haven't paid a cent for at all ever. Perhaps money from the rent can be the rent of 15 Otto Street. Perhaps some of the rent money from 15 Otto Street can be put aside to repay the Ford Ranger EPP 31F that is currently owned. The personal property is owned by Finance One, which is based in Queensland, and PTAR. Okay, got a loan on it. It's not Majid's, it's not Ami Maroon's, the fact that I have to explain this to these people is just insane. I was making multi-million-dollar deals with people that don't understand the basics of business. I deserve everything that I have. I am lucky to even be alive. Oh, given what they did to Tony, Jesus Christ. Oh, they drove me suicidal, and they kept calling the cops and antagonizing me. But they killed Tony before I died. I killed myself, and that snapped me out of it, for goodness sakes. Ah, God. Anyway, mine was a choice that I was thrusting on myself. Tony didn't have a choice, of the family that he had, I can't believe they just didn't think, just stop feeding him solids and he'll stop choking. So ungodly irresponsible. Thieves and murderers, in a way. I suppose some people are just like that. But yeah, so that's where I'm at with my family. That's where I'm at with 15 Otto Street. And mind you, the reason why there's been such an amazing positive change is because of Carol and Rita. No one from my side of the family, not any of my aunties or uncles on my father's side, none of my cousins on my father's side. Some of them have tried to help, but them helping is just leaving me alone to it, I suppose. Yeah, there's definitely something wrong with that family right there. Just, oh God, I just can't understand how they don't see it. How many of them have been in jail? Not just having arguments with other family members, like being incarcerated. Yeah, anyway, doesn't matter. Of course I got an AVO out on me for the protection of my Uncle Charlie. Yeah, of course. Why not, right? I don't... There's an AVO out on me for the protection of Charlie, and Tony is dead after being fed a McDonald's chip. A few months prior to that, I had $100,000 prevented from being paid from my company, and Majid refuses to give back a ute that was never his and he never paid for. All of the investments and all of my hard work for all of 2023, including the work that I did with All Returns Tax Accountants, Fred Lahoud's accountant company, getting him to transfer to put in I think it's the 484 form, to replace a director from my Uncle Charlie to my Uncle Maroon, and then getting the two loans against the assets in Happy Lion, so 17A and 17B Villiers Street, we got a $700,000 loan. And for Redfern, we got a 1.5 or 1.6 or so million dollar loan. And then I invested in 64 and 66 Lethbridge Street, Penrith. And then when I realised that wasn't going to be a great investment because my family couldn't even manage a route at a brothel, let alone a commercial apartment construction site. I purchased 310 Blackstone Road with the expectation of winding back or winding forward or winding up or winding down 66 and 64 Lethbridge Street, going as far as I can with the DA, putting it on a commercial market and at least getting back what we put in it. So we can focus on 310 Blackstone Road, North Ryde, build that and get somewhere between $600,000 and $1.5 million depending on cost of construction in the market at the time, which was extremely volatile and still is. But we would have sold at sometime in 2025. None of that happened.
Listen, dickhead, I don't know how you see it. I don't know, Andrew. I don't fucking know, bro. But I don't like. It's not that. You are way fucking stronger, Andrew, and have way more potential, bro, in life, cuz.
Hey Carol, I just want to give you a little bit of a rundown and an update. So I'll be happy to email the real estate agents and let them know that they can rent out the house and I won't interfere. But I am going to tell them that they don't need my consent, but I do require them to keep me updated, right? So I want to know how much they want to rent it out for. I want to know from a real estate agent's perspective if we will get more money if we renovate it and how we'd have to renovate it, what would be the minimum required to get the to yield the most rent per week, okay? Because I don't trust my father to just rent it out like that. Not even I don't trust my father, it's the fact that he elected Saeed to take care of these things for him, and Saeed has got such a poor instinct for business. I'm insulted that my father would go to Saeed, right, to be his delegate, right, while I was upset at him. Saeed obviously doesn't care about my dad, that's why he left those disgusting photos that I put up when I was angry. Anyway, I hope my dad understands that, you know, the people that he thought were helping him and giving them advice about me couldn't care less about me or even him. That Majid convinced Zuzu and Mark from TQM to pay him $100,000, and he convinced the builders by telling them that I won't pay the invoices and that I'm a thief and I steal money from them and I'm not going to pay the contractors when I get the money. Majid got the money, didn't pay any of the contractors. Zuzu is still paying the contractors, even though Majid got paid $100,000 from TQM. Okay, Ami Marun put it in Majid's head that it's his money and it's the money for Happy Lion, and that wasn't false. But not all of it, right? At least $50,000 was for contractors. Remember, Majid hadn't paid a cent for the ute that he's driving at the moment. That's my ute. There's a $51,000 debt on it and he didn't pay a cent towards the ute ever. He was living off Jiddi's money, off Happy Lion's money, all right? And when I put the squeeze on him and tightened my belt and told him that he won't be able to sort of live like that anymore, that's when he chose to steal money from me, okay? So these are the type of people that my dad is getting to give them advice about me. They're thieves that stole money from me. That's all that happened. It's absurd that he'd think anything other than that. So I don't trust him to rent it out on his own without my knowledge, because I want to be kept abreast of everything that he is doing with my investment as well. And as long as my name is on that title, all right, that's my investment, okay? And even if he pays Emily $50,000, I still don't trust my father in business, because the people that he trusted in business walked away from 2 out of 3 properties, walked away, as in losing 10% of the deposit on each property every time they did that. Not just the 10%, but the tens of thousands of dollars that was spent on getting the CDC and the DA approval, because they did not understand simple business. They couldn't understand that selling would get them their money back. I don't understand. They had something and they literally threw it away rather than sell that thing, because they don't know how to sell. They don't know about business. Other people have to get work for them. Oh God, they just don't even know the basics. All right, so he has to appreciate, I don't trust him as a businessman, okay? I haven't seen a cent out of him other than to make poor investments, because my dad would not have been able to purchase 15 Otto Street without me. And I don't think he understands that. Francis didn't want to buy that property with him. Saeed or Majid would not buy the property with him. I was the only one that put his hand up to help my dad buy the property. And this is what he does. And he assists his nephew Majid in stealing money from me and drive the stolen ute that belongs to my company, PTAR. So I'm happy to write that email, all right? But it's going to be written with a huge caveat that I will not interfere with the property unless I am kept in contact or kept in the loop. All right? That's it. Yeah, I won't. It's so embedded in me, Carol. Like, I can't. I don't care. He can keep the $50,000. It really, if I think about it, like to write an email to the real estate agents, I'm gonna leave my dad to sort out that investment property. Dude, he back in the day, he'd drive around with hundreds of thousands of dollars in his car, all right, and boast about how he could have easily bought big land, a bunch of property, shops, blah, blah, blah. But then he smacks it, but I never did that because why? Because he used the money to sell drugs and then he ended up going to prison, okay? I don't trust my dad, Carol. Like, and that fee, that's real. Like it's bigger than his ability to pay me, to pay my wife money. So I just need to know that he'll keep me in the loop. Actually, no, I don't need him to keep, oh my God, I don't need him to do anything. God, as long as my name is in 15 Otto Street, I want to know who's renting it out. I want to know how much it's being rented out for, okay? And I want to investigate, okay, as to whether it's the smarter business approach to renovate it, all right, to achieve like a higher rental yield, right? Or just leave it as it is, right, to maximize the amount of money that we can get and use that money to get a CDC later. These are way more important questions than like my dad being like, yeah, I'll give your wife $50,000 if you just leave me alone. Sorry, I can't leave him alone with these decisions. I just can't. I am baffled when I think about it that he still thinks that I don't have questions that need to be answered. You know what I mean? Majid Taouk'S is driving around in my ute and he hasn't paid a cent. And just so you know, the finance company is willing, okay, to forgive the loan as long as someone makes the monthly repayments.